Hey, I'm Matthew Giorgio. Are you a note taker? Do you like to take notes? I'm a note taker. I'm not a heavy note taker. I describe myself more as a strategic note taker in that, I don't have my head down constantly taking notes. I think it's more important to be able to, look eye to eye with the people you're meeting with and just strategically take the right notes about actions and important key information. Anyway, for my entire adult life, ever since gadgets started to become available, I started looking for the best note-taking device because, paper's great, but not great. You can't search it, you can't store it, all those negative things related to paper. And so I was constantly buying new gadgets and trying to find the best writing experience. And I want to tell you where I'm at and where, what I've kind of used over the years and what I think is actually pretty good right now. So back in the early days, I remember I had a Casio. It didn't even have writing. It was more, if you remember those Casio things, almost like calculators, and it had keyboards on them, and you could type kind of to-do lists and stuff. So I actually started with one of those, and eventually I got to a Palm Pilot. And the Palm Pilot, some of you may remember, looks like this, almost exactly like this. Now this is actually a handspring visor. So Palm Pilot was the first company to kind of come up with something, although Apple had a Newton, which kind of died a quick death prior to all that. But then Palm Pilot kind of revolutionized the little note taker, and then there was a group of people in Palm, the company who made the Palm Pilot, who left and started a competing company called Handspring. Eventually, both of them I think went out of business. But I wish I still have my Palm Pilot. I don't. I do have this Handspring, and then moved on to this HP iPac. So this one was really cool because I think it was the first device that actually was like a note-taking tool like this, but actually had cellular phone built into it. You can see the huge antenna, and this thing's pretty thick and heavy. So I think it was actually the first device to combine all those things. HP iPac, IPAQ, and this was before the iPhone, and then shortly after the iPhone was created and killed everybody. Although the iPhone, as you know, doesn't have a pen. So then I moved on to, what do I have here? I moved on to this. This is Microsoft Surface tablet. This is the actually version 1, the original Surface tablet. And this was actually a pretty good writing experience, I have to say. I did enjoy it at the time, and the new Surface tablets are even more impressive, of course. But there's a problem with these devices, and people don't often think about this until they buy one, start working with it. Is usually if this is your main device, your main notebook computer, and you want to take notes, well, you're not taking notes on the same device you're using. You're usually taking notes on the side, right? You're researching something, you're on a meeting or whatever it is on your computer, and you need something on the side to take the notes on. So as amazing as this may be as a note-taking tool, it actually doesn't work from a productivity standpoint because you need that side thing. So you end up going back to paper and then plugging back in notes. Of course, if you're doing drawing and that kind of thing and you don't need to do anything else and just focus on your writing, then something like this can certainly work for you. And Microsoft has a couple of versions out after this original one here. And of course the iPad, a couple of years ago, the iPad tablet now has a pen. I haven't actually purchased the iPad tablet. I felt it was too big, too large, and I didn't want a pen that needed to be charged. So I really don't like having to charge up pens. And so I eventually moved on to this. This is a Galaxy 10-inch tablet. I think it's called a Tab A, worth a few $100. It's probably 6 years old now. I think you might still be able to get something similar. And Galaxy has a phone that is smaller and uses the same what they call an S Pen. Nice simple little pen, and this I have to say is a pretty good experience as well, except here's the problem with all these computer experiences and even tablets is you constantly have to turn them on, right? They're always turning themselves off, and you have to turn it on, and then you usually have to lock themselves, the lock screen, so you have to swipe the lock screen, and sometimes your app has switched, so then you got to switch to the other app. And I just find that really inconvenient. If you're constantly taking notes at different times during the day, this idea of having to constantly turn these things on, switch to your app, and then you also have the issue of when your hand rests on the device. Some devices are better than others for sensing that or negating that from the app, but I just find that causes problems too. So as good as a writing experience I found this, I also found it inconvenient because of all those reasons where, you know, you just constantly having to unlock and switch apps and launch apps, and I even found like I used OneNote, and I've tried a variety of ones like Evernote and that kind of thing, but I just find they're not designed very well, and you know, despite all the money that goes into those apps. So now here's what I have now. This is the Remarkable tablet. The Remarkable, and that's pretty cool, it's got a little magnet at the end so you can hold your pen. The Remarkable tablet came out maybe 5 years ago, the version 1, I think, and it's from Europe. And their whole focus was to create a device that was strictly for note-taking, nothing else. No apps, no internet surfing, no nothing, just note-taking. And I didn't get version 1 because I felt it probably would have some issues, so I waited to version 2. This is version 2, came out about 1.5 years ago. Maybe 2 years, 1.5 years, I think. I was on. I got one of the first ones that came out. I was on on one of these waiting lists for a long time to get it, and I have to say it's quite good. It's quite good. The great thing about it's really light. It's about the size of a piece of paper. Nice big solid pen. Feels good. You don't have to worry about charging it. One click turns on right away. It's already turned on, so you don't have to wait for anything. There's no swiping, no anything. It's right there. This is it. It's ready to write. So I can start writing. I don't know if you probably can't even see that, but let me just turn that on. Here we go. It's because I had the eraser on. There it is. It has and now their claim to fame is not only is it simple, but they want to make it feel as much like paper as possible, because a lot of the other devices, like this, feels like you're writing on glass, and that is true. It does feel like you're writing on glass, and now the pen can change and help that, but this is definitely the closest to paper writing experience you're going to find. And it's really simple. It's basically grayscale, so you can't do any color. Everything you need is easily accessible. There's nothing that gets in your way. You don't have to worry about your hand resting on it causing any issues. So it is a really great experience. The only thing that are negative about it, one is it's kind of slow. So like when you have to navigate from page to page or up to the menus to select different notebooks and that kind of thing, I do find it quite slow. But it's not a deal breaker at all.